The 2311, not the Turkish one that's marginal, but the Nevada one that takes SIG mags, was an interesting step forward on what a single action only gun could be, making it with full ambi controls with a ton of features that just make sense. This is the Pro model that comes with a gray frame, 2 additional magazines, and an enlarged magazine release paddle, an enhanced trigger, lightning cuts in the slide, and the option of putting ports in its barrel, which is pretty awesome. So we'll take a look at the 2311 Compact Pro and shoot it side by side with the Atlas Gunworks EOS, which also has ports in its barrel, the full-size 2311, the base model, as well as the Staccato C2. We'll take a look at why I like the compact model more than its full-size big brother, and what I wish was improved on the Pro, and hopefully answer the question, are you getting more for your money for the extra $450 for the Pro model? Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David, and this is the OA Defense 2311 Compact Pro. Now you're gonna have to forgive me because I keep wanting to say Pro Compact, which means it would be the compact version of the Pro model, but the name is Compact Pro, which means it's the Pro version of the compact model. If you follow the channel, you'll know that I have already reviewed the full-size version. I've got the 5-inch version of the 2311, and it's a pretty awesome duty style single action only pistol that has a lot of stuff done well that, really does kind of move the ball down the field for what a single action only gun could be in sort of a hard use duty context. Specifically, some of the stuff that I like about the platform, and you can watch the full-length video on this. I like the progressive grip texture coming up the frame to where you need it. I like the molded in thumb rests that come on the grip module, as well as the safeties without a grip safety and an external extractor. It kind of advances what a single action only gun could be while keeping a lot of what makes 2011s awesome, like the complete modularity, which is cool. So if you want all the information on the 2311, watch that video. This video will be focusing on what the Compact Pro is, specifically with the ports. This is the ported model, as you can see there, which makes the gun honestly pretty awesome. And I'm kind of the opinion now, and we'll get there I'm sure, that this gun was really built to be the compact size. It does everything better. It looks better, it shoots better, it's fantastic, but we'll get there. But before jumping into what's different with the pistol, I do need to say hello to all the dads in the audience. Guys, you have the most important job in the world, and I hope you take it very seriously. You are literally shaping the future by raising your kids, and I want to encourage you with this. What does a nosy pepper do? It gets jalapeno business. It's even more cringy if you say jalapeno wrong on purpose and just say jalapeno business. Like, that's even worse. And I figured this out. This is a pro move that you can use as well. Say the words moist nostril around your wife and see what happens. It's hilarious. It's nearly as powerful as cucumbers around cats. All right, serious face. I do want to give you the disclaimer that this is a T&E gun that was sent to me for review. I have to send it back to them. No money has traded hands. There is an ammo sponsor for the video. Buffalo Creek Ammunition provided some of their awesome 115 grain ammo to be shot, and it does just great. So thank you, Buffalo Creek. But other than that, that's what you get. I'm not going to pull any punches because, it's not my gun. I don't have to justify the decision of purchasing an expensive gun to myself. I'm just going to give you kind of my opinion on it. So diving in, having shot both the compact and the full-size versions of the guns, this one looks much more like kind of a Cybertruck, whereas this one kind of looks like a cool, I don't know what it looks like. It looks more regular. It's got a 4¼ inch barrel on a 15-round grip. It is a 9mm only gun, so it takes 15-round guns, and it just looks, I think it's because of the magwell design and the less pronounced kind of rounding at the nose. It just looks more in line with what the current market is, but it still has a lot of those progressive features that you see on the other guns. So what kind of sets it apart and why I kind of like it better than the full-size pistol is largely due to the safeties and how much trim they are. You can see the safeties on the compact versus the full size, which they're kind of like big old paddles. The trimmed safeties allow me to get really high on the gun. That's where I like to grip the pistol. You can see how high my support hand is getting, and I'm making full use of the thumb rest with my thumb, and on this side I can keep my trigger finger there. So I quite like the frame and the aggressive texture that's right where the grip needs to be putting energy into my support hand. It does a good job through that traction that generates, but it's kind of smooth down here, which is cool. On the Pro model, the trigger has been lightened a bit. I don't tell you what trigger weights are on YouTube anymore because YouTube will demonetize videos if it thinks it's a hair trigger, and that is completely arbitrary. It's completely up to YouTube. Really awesome rule, guys. Ranting aside, the actual grip is modular, and it's modular in two ways, meaning that like the potential exists to change this grip module out for like an aluminum one in the future, but also if I wanted a full-size magwell, and you can see how big the magwell is on the full-size gun, I can put this magwell on this gun. In fact, they offer it in that configuration, and it becomes a 17-round grip. And since it's built around P320 mags, it's a little bit of a smaller grip platform. Like people with smaller hands will generally have a better home on this pistol. So the trigger is improved with the Pro model of the gun. It is not as duty grade, and the trigger characteristics of the gun are quite nice. There is just a tiny little bit of take up to get to the wall, and then you build pressure until the hammer releases, and then there's only a tiny bit of over travel, and reset, you can see there, is very short and pretty positive. So I like the controls. The full ambi slide stop is kind of nice because now righties can drop the slide with their trigger finger on emergency reloads, which is cool. The compact magwell does keep your hand well enough away so that you're not likely to pinch on reloads, but the fat part of my palm is close enough to the magwell where if I miss the magwell, I'm definitely throwing it into my palm, so there is that. Additionally, they added the Springer Precision button onto the mag release. That's not on, it's just a standard P320 style mag release on the basic pistol. The Pro has this Springer Precision button, which does make it easier to get onto the mag release. I actually quite like it, and it's kind of a Goldilocks size where it doesn't really get into my palm when I'm shooting the pistol, so unlikely to drop mags when I don't mean to, which is nice. And as I mentioned, because the magwell is interchangeable, if I wanted the full-size grip, then they sell these kits that basically include 3 17-round mags and the magwell. So for like $150-ish, you could make this be a full-size gun that you could compete with, or a smaller gun that you could carry. And I really like that flexibility. I think it's really cool that they came up with a design like that. So let's talk about shooting the gun. Since it is ported, it is kind of a louder experience behind the gun than a non-ported variant, which is kind of what you would expect, but it is also significantly softer shooting than even its big brother in the 5-inch trim. The gun is very quick in how it gun handles, and it's very quick back to target with a very kind of abrupt recoil impulse, but it's not heavy. Like, it's very pleasant because the geometry of the frame is so squared away, it snaps back to target pretty quickly, and I really kind of like that about the pistol. So shooting it against its big brother, I kind of had this to say. 2311 full size versus its Pro little brother. Let's see how this goes. All right, I think that the little gun actually shoots better than the big gun, which they're probably not going to like to hear me say. But I think the ports do contribute to the muzzle not climbing as high. I definitely observed more muzzle lift out of the full-size gun. Full-size gun shoots great. It's actually very pleasant to shoot. But I think the little gun probably is a little bit nicer to shoot. Shooting it against the Staccato C2, I found that this gun was much, much nicer to shoot than the Staccato C2. In my opinion, the C2 is one of the poorest shooting Staccatos in the lineup. It just is way harsher than all the other Staccatos. I like Staccatos, guys. I'm not bashing Staccato. I love my P, I love my XC, but the C2 and I just don't get along, and that's unfortunate. So I definitely think that the Compact Pro is a nicer shooting gun, and I would pick it probably over a C2. All right, just because I happen to have it in at the same time, I'm going to compare the Atlas EOS to the Oracle Defense 2311. Let's see how this goes. Both have ports in roughly the same location on the guns. Don't know if that's showing up. This one costs about half or less of the other one. We'll do the Atlas first, again using the AAC 124 ammo. Okay. So the traction on the Atlas makes a big difference, but the thumb ledge is actually very usable on the 2311 Pro, and it doesn't, the lift is the same between the guns. It's just that this hits harder in the hand than this does with that spicy NATO 124 stuff. So Very cool. Just talking about the value of stepping up from the base model. So the base model on these guns comes in at about $1,900 currently in the late second quarter of 2024. Stepping up to the Pro model with the ports in it is $2,350. So right off the draw, the most obvious thing is that the slide work is more dramatic. Like that's a basic slide, that's a Pro slide. So you can see the lightning cuts at both the top and the side. And then the optional ports, which you can look, I can kind of see you through the ports there. Isn't that fun? Yeah, I'm a total idiot. I get it. I'm even worse in person, if you can believe it. So that's a bit more machine time. If you were to pay a gunsmith to do it aftermarket, it would cost, you know, 250, 300 bucks probably. And then this is that way from the factory. It comes with 2 additional magazines, and it does use P320 mags. P320 mags, SIG is very proud of those. They sell for about $44. If you buy them from OA Defense, they're only about $40. So that is good. It's cheaper than 2011 mags, which are like 70 to 80 bucks, or if you buy the competition ones, they're 120 to 150 bucks. Yeah. You are also getting the Springer Precision mag button. I don't know what they're selling these for, but I would guess it's 40 bucks because that seems to be like 40 to 60 bucks seems to be the going rate on what those are. So, and on top of that, there is the enhanced trigger, which is a notable step forward from what the base 2311 trigger is. So whatever that's worth, a trigger job on a hammer fire gun is usually $150 to $200. So the value proposition really does kind of make sense in what you're getting when you step up from the base model. But that doesn't totally sweep everything under the rug, because I did have an issue with this gun when I shot it in live fire, and that was that fancy trigger job we were just talking about. I got some light strikes on the AAC ammo. Yep. Yep. It's another bread round. That might be a light strike. This AAC stuff sucks, man. The AAC ammo is not the highest quality ammo. It's like a budget NATO style load, 124 at like 1250 foot per second nearly. That's not what it says on the box, but that's what it comes in at on the Chrono, not from this gun, but other, 4-inch barrel guns. So, I mean, with hammer fired guns, one of the beautiful things about them is they can shoot pretty much anything. All of my hammer guns are set up to the point where they can ignite small rifle primers. So if I load my own ammo, I can use small rifle primers, and it's no big deal because sometimes small pistol primers aren't available. Now, it's worth noting that the gun was completely reliable with all the other range loads that I tried. I think I tried 2 or 3. The Buffalo Creek ammunition that I shot out of this gun shot like a dream and was 100% reliable, had no light strike issues at all. Didn't have issues on any of the hollow points that I tested either. So that's probably a testament to the AAC, but at the same time, I'd love it if my hammer-fired gun would set off even the range trash that I pick up on the cheap. But the single probable biggest issue with the pistol is the fact that there aren't that many holsters available. Now, there are these holsters available from Dara Holsters, D-A-R-A, and I think Gunfighters Inc. has an outside the waistband version of the holster as well. If you mount a light on the pistol, then obviously the world is your oyster, as there's like 1,000 different, universal fit holsters that index off the light. And the issue is kind of that the frame has these crazy kind of grips. It's got ambi controls, all this sort of stuff. And that creates kind of a problem because while the gun is only like typical double stack thickness, it's not a particularly thick gun. But because of all the little nubs hanging off the gun, the holsters just end up being massively large. And the way this specific holster is molded, it actually prints more because it shields the outside safety. And that's a nice feature to have on a duty gun. But if you've got an ambi safety on something like, I'm getting ready to put a video together on the Kimber KDS-9C rail, and you can see that this TXC holster, it has all this, drama going on to the inside. It doesn't have it on the outside. So the result is that the holster is significantly slimmer than the way the holsters currently are set up. If you don't want a weapon mounted light, you can just see how much bigger this holster is, and it does print, unfortunately. And that's a problem for me because I don't like carrying guns with a weapon mounted light because I've got these massive, just gorgeous quads. I mean, look at these guys. Just kidding, guys. No, kidding aside, I don't like carrying weapon mounted lights on pistols because it does add some bulk at the bottom of the pistol, which does push into my quad more, and the pistol moves around differently than it does without it when it's in the holster, and it just makes the holster massive. So I don't like to carry guns with weapon mounted lights. I know a lot of you will disagree with me on that, and that's okay, but that for me is an issue. So putting that out there, not a ton of holster support if you don't want a light. And that's probably the single biggest issue with the gun. The final gripe on the pistol, and this is pretty minor, is that the plates that it comes with for optics, and does come with 3, like you can see, this is the irons forward RMR plate that I've got on it here. The plates won't allow the like cantilever forward type optics like the SRO, and they did come up with an SRO plate, I want to say pretty recently. But the ones included with the pistol won't take the cantilever forward, and the irons on the RMR plate do not co-witness through most optics that have to be the super trim sight. So like if I were to mount a dot on this gun and it were my carry gun, I would look at like the Holosun EPS, the Sig Sauer Romeo X Pro. That's a really awesome sight that nobody really talks about. And you know, any of those would probably work great on this gun. So the Compact Pro is an awesome pistol. Like I really like the pistol. I love how the gun handles. I love the angle on the grip, everything like that. I like how the gun shoots. It shoots fantastic. I really like this kind of like 4 1/4 slide on a, you know, compact grip size gun. I wish that when I was getting a gun earlier this year, I had opted for the smaller version of the gun and not the bigger version, which I did. So I love the way that this gun handles. I think it's really cool. And the new like high desert finish with the Sage grip, it's basically the gray grip with the FDE slide and magwell, looks super awesome. So it's a really cool concept of a gun, and I really hope that it continues to develop and get traction because it's doing some really cool stuff in the market. So it's really sort of what an engineer's vision of what a single action only duty gun could be. And since I kind of think like an engineer, I really like that about the gun. If you haven't seen my video on the full size gun, there's even more information about how the gun was developed and stuff like that here. So you can check that video out here.